one of those areas was the concept of dry leasing and what that can mean. So I want to start with you. What's your viewpoint on dry leasing and what that means from an insurance standpoint?
I don't think I can lean back far enough for that one. Dry leasing, as many of you probably know, has become a hot topic in the insurance industry over the last few years. If you back up 10 years, wasn't much discussion. When there was a dry lease, we got the documents, we made the changes to the insurance policy, and we moved on. During COVID, there was one specific webinar put on one of the associations in the FAA for the insurance community. And I watched that because I've got quite a few customers that are into dry leases pretty significantly. And my takeaway from that, and this was my takeaway, my opinion, was that they basically presented that dry leases were illegal. And my understanding of dry leases, the attorney's here to my left, so he'll speak truth to it, but is that there is a place and a time for a dry lease, and there are some that are appropriate. There's been a lot of abuse over the years. The insurance community took that, the underwriting community took that, and some of them said, no dry leases. Others said, well, we'll accept one or two. And generally now it comes with a premium of $1,000 to $5,000 per dry lease. And if you change dry lessees in the middle of the term, you get another $1,000 to $5,000 charge. And the insurance company is real interested in what is the relationship with this lessee and what is the utilization of the airplane? How much are they using it? So it's gotten a lot of scrutiny from the insurance industry. It's not easy, let's offset some of the cost and throw a dry lease in.
So obviously with anything that's highly scrutinized, we like to get the lawyers involved, right? So how can we manage this, Chris? Is there a path here?
Yeah, I think there is a path. It's often misunderstood. I think what Steve's saying, it really resonates with me because there's a lot of gray area. I think the best place to start is the advisory circular on truth in leasing. And if you read that, it's pretty clear that there is no bright line test.
I think you're the only one that's read that.
Yeah, for and I may be, but
show of hands in the room. Anyway,
actually, I'm curious. Has anybody actually read because the FAA tells you how they look at it, and what they basically say, there's 7 factors they look at to determine whether you've actually shifted operational control of the aircraft to the lessee. And for instance, one of those issues is maintenance. Well, how many of you have had a dry lease where you're going to give maintenance responsibility to your lessee? I'm guessing usually we only see that on like a true wholesale lease where here's the airplane, give it back to me in a year, right? Normal dry leasing arrangements don't do that. So you've already got one mark against you. So in other words, it is a bit of the old I know it when I see it test with the FAA. A little bit, we go to NBA when we hear, enforcement's up. Is that true? I don't know. I've seen it. There's certainly investigations and enforcement actions and the like, and you read about them occasionally. The big thing for me is using it as a tool and using it smartly. And what I always say is we can create a very good, legitimate dry leasing arrangement. And it's a lowest common denominator to me in my practice because it doesn't matter. I see people that will dry lease a Cirrus, and I see people that will dry lease a Falcon 900. It doesn't matter. Every operator can offset some costs with it. It can be a great tool. And we see, ideally, it's a good amount of utilization by the lessee, limited circumstances, and they have a strong enough relationship with them that they truly understand that the lessee is exercising operational control over the aircraft. It's not a one-off flight, because what we have seen is when this happens, when the FAA does a ramp inspection, I've been through one of these, even as a pilot, they don't go and necessarily ask the crew much about the leasing scenario. They're asking the passenger, and as soon as you get a passenger that says, I don't know, I just know Bob the owner, and I said I wanted to fly to Tampa, well, guess what? There's your enforcement action. On there. Now, so you've got to create a circumstance where, as a lawyer, where I'm not only just providing documents to a client, but making them fully understand the shift in operational control and what's going on with a leasing arrangement. And if you do that appropriately, it can be a very effective tool, very good at cost mitigation, And it turns out to be a win-win sometimes for everybody involved, but approaching it haphazardly interjects a lot of risk that you want to avoid, and there is a lot of gray area out there. So we see a lot of it kind of done in ways that I would not recommend, but there's definitely right and wrong ways.